All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Rise Urban Nation. Today, we got a special guest. My sister, my co-host, Adesola Akindele is back. I know some of you have all been sending me messages or you saw me in person. You're like, where's Shola? What is going on here? And she has never left. She's always going to be here. But we've both been on a journey. Shola has been on an incredible wellness journey, and we've missed her insightful contributions. But today, she is back to share her experiences and the importance of wellness, especially in entrepreneurship. And plus, she's gonna give us some exciting updates. I know I seen her on Instagram with her daughter's first rugby game. How was that? How did she love it?
Oh yeah, she really did. It was crazy. Like now she's like bugging me. Okay, when are we going to the next one? So it was really nice to see her, something that she never experienced on at home, for her to experience it like somewhere else and still connect to it. That just said, yeah, she's still a Brit. She's still a Brit.
Yeah, we and you were in Snapdragon Stadium. That's where we take Kaden to go see the San Diego Waves play. We actually went to a Waves game yesterday, but it was at USD because I think there was another rugby match yesterday at Snapdragon.
That's their home, yeah.
How'd y'all like the stadium? I
loved it.
I love it.
It's really well arranged. It's easy to navigate. It's not like the Padres spot and everything, Petco Stadium, and parking was easy. So that's something I actually like more. I'm a big thing about parking. That's like a reason why I may not even go to an event if I can't figure that out. So I just thought it was nice, very, very kid friendly. There were lots of kids, which I really enjoyed as well.
Love it. So you all stay tuned for this episode is going to be packed with inspiration and valuable tips. And we're going to jump into some things about her wellness journey, what she's been up to. But I got to start off with this because you just mentioned it earlier when we were prepping in the green room. Fresh off the press, Biden's out, Kamala's up. What's your first initial thoughts, reactions, feelings?
I mean, I was heartbroken, obviously, and I was shocked because I just don't feel there has been enough preparation, right, for something like this to happen. I don't even know what that's going to look like because, it's so close to the election. But you know what? What am I saying? You guys saw what was going on across the pond in England and I'm Nigerian, so you get it. Like nothing can shock anyone. But I feel like if the VP was put in a position where she was front and center as much as he was, I think people would be prepared to see what she was like in that role. Now that he's giving her his ticket, so I guess it's unnerving, I would say, obviously, and because of how loud the other side is. And my hope is that we can just appeal to the good nature of most Americans, to see to do the right thing, But I mean, America seems to survive, most things. So let's just hope that whoever comes into power next, that it's something that makes this country, better than it was, basically.
Yeah, I share your same sentiments. I was shocked but not shocked all at the same time. And then I was like, all right, what does this mean? And I was like, man, I wish that we had done more, or I wish, Biden's camp had done more to put Kamala in the limelight and have all of those wins and successes and things that she's working on. Because now I'm like, okay, what has she been doing? Like, what am I to expect? Because I don't know. So I'm hoping that they can make up some ground in that, and so
I hope so. Like you could see when he posted it, like the heartbreak from a lot of Americans, and they really appreciated his entire career. So I think that's what one to look at. Like this man has not just been on this seat for 4 years. He was a VP. He had a career as a senator or something. Yeah. So I just feel like seeing how he has, aged, which that seat always does to you. I mean, everyone that comes in there just turns white. The hair just turns like.
I remember Obama had a full hair of black hair. And he was salt and pepper about time he was done.
Was it salt and pepper, full silverback, man? So it was like, so I was just like, that seat demands a lot from you, especially if you're doing the work that that seat commands. You're not just ruling a nation. You're the standard for the rest of the world. And that's
Nah.
very, very, like, you have to have a certain level of moral how a character to understand that kind of power, right? Despite the fact that,
Yeah.
the more and more I learn about politics of the United States, and how, really and truly is your houses, like,
Mhm.
I'm calling them houses, you guys, the Senate, and then the what's the other one again? I keep forgetting. The House of Reps, right?
Congress,
Congress and
Senate.
Senate, yeah. Those are
Um,
where that's where the real power, like, really lies. And
mhm.
those are the kind of, like, if I was a citizen, those are the kind of elections that I will be focused on, if you know what I mean.
Nah.
You know,
I would say that, and I would also add at the local level too, like
yes,
what happens
yes.
in your actual cities and towns,
Mm,
making sure that you're involved in those politics, because
mm,
those really move
mm.
the needle of the local level of
Oh
what's
yes,
going
oh
on.
yes, yeah. They're in
You know,
charge of, like, how your city is run, and you live in those spaces. So
yeah.
yeah, and then
And
accountability is the thing.
I'm thinking about like all of this in totality now, and how we're catching up with your wellness journey. Like
Mm.
America's going to need a wellness journey. So
Yeah,
this is the
yeah.
perfect episode
But yes,
for.
yes,
But no matter where you at, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in politics, wherever you're at, America needs a
yes.
wellness journey.
Oh yeah.
As we were talking about earlier, like how the culture of America is just built on ecosystems of grind and
Mm,
capitalism, which
mm,
perpetuates the journey of or this health, or sickness, or whatever you want to call it. I may not have all the right words to describe it right now, but when
toxic.
the people were talking to me, they was like, when I going back to the introduction, there's like, where's Shola, and I mean, I don't. You never left in my heart to me, because we always stay in contact. But for them, it was important that it's just wonderful to have you back. So our listeners, they just been curious about your wellness journey, because I know something I allude to on time. She's on the her wellness journey, and also doing some major things with the organizations that she's currently part of. Could you give us a brief overview, before we jump into that, of your background, and what motivated you to embark on this wellness journey?
Hmm. So, I mean, for the past 25 years, you all know that I'm an economist at heart, but I've been a serial entrepreneur, right? And in that time, I've been a creative band director, software UI UX developer, mentor, author, inventor, which was my latest hat. Marketing strategist, social innovator, consultant, social impact like entrepreneur as well. I've had tech startups on multiple continents. So I think, I've been graced to see the world differently than most. Some people are only used to their environment. I'm used to seeing things on a macro global scale, right? So building this portfolio over 24 years, I had to, last year was really a big one for me. I don't know what ignited that moment, but there was just the happiness within wasn't genuine. How would I put it? I've spent so much time, and then as an extrovert, I'm now more of an ambivert, but as an extrovert, being an extroverted introvert is like, you seek the happiness outside. But the more and
Mm,
more I spend time with myself, right, I realize that, wait, why do I have this nervousness when I'm by myself? So that's why I used to spend
mhm,
so much time creating, because then I could distract myself doing that. And that's why, all those ideas and everything. But now I've gone to a point where once I receive something, I kind of
yeah,
know it's not for me, and I can pass it on when I
mhm,
meet the right person that it's actually for. So
yeah.
yeah, you have no idea the kind of, like, paperwork I have just writing down ideas. But getting to a point in my
Uh,
life where I was like, look, I'm about to hit the next phase of my life. I'm not happy. I don't want to carry this version of myself over, right? I need
mm,
to ensure that I'm my best self to handle. See, it's not about being, but to handle what I was about to be blessed with, so that I
mm,
could do the right things. Because one of the things people tell you about wealth, or, be or abundance, is that every part of you will get fueled,
mm,
and that is the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So no matter what, you don't want to spend a majority of your time suppressing something. And
yeah.
coming from the culture, Nigerian culture now is this, illusion of perfection that we portray to ourselves, our parents, and they'll be dying inside, right? You keep your
Yeah.
mouth shut, but you're dying inside. Like the chaos is insane. So as a mom as well, you see that breeding in your kids. And for me, it was so important. Like the kind of mom I wanted to be was to ensure that I was able to pass on the right tools to my own child, my daughter. And my daughter is like way more intelligent than I am. We're just learning a lot more about the way she sees the world and how she learns, and learning and
Mm,
seeing all these things. I'm realizing that, man, these are the issues I also had, but no one was there to help me through them. So I had to
yeah.
become the person, understand what I needed at that age, and I realized more than anything, I was healing myself doing that. So I'm so
Mhm.
blessed that I'm the mom for this child, this my daughter, because we're on this tandem journey. It's insane that
That's beautiful.
yes, it's I can't, I mean, I can't even explain the grace that
Yeah.
I've been giving to be this girl's mother, and
You know what
it's
I love
amazing.
about this whole journey is
Hmm.
that not only are you're doing it for yourself, but you're
Oh yeah.
modeling it for
Oh
her as
yes.
well.
Yes.
And which is something our parents tried their best, so
Mm,
but
mm,
they just didn't have it within them
mm.
to
They didn't have the tools. They
do.
did. They
They didn't have
knew
the
what
tools.
they
They didn't have
knew.
the tools,
Yes, but
and so
go ahead. Sorry.
so instead of allowing space and grace
Mm,
for that
mm,
healing to
mm,
happen, they pass down trauma
mm, mm,
unknowingly,
mm, mm,
right?
mm,
And then that trauma sat and manifested in us.
mm,
Not to mention the trauma that was already passed down to them that they didn't even deal with, but the trauma that they were working through passed down to us,
mm.
and the trauma they didn't know passed down to us. And so
Exactly.
now
Yes.
that's embedded into our body, which
Yes.
which which is
Yes.
which is not healthy for us.
Yes. Yeah. I love that something
Um,
you said I want to tap into is safe space, right?
yeah.
Is creating a safe space to heal the trauma, right? Our parents didn't. And another thing about like I love being Nigerian, but one thing about us Africans is that because we are all so successful, we
Mhm.
sincerely believe we're doing the right thing.
Yeah,
You know,
but see,
it's
that's
crazy.
because we're defining the success from the
Exactly.
outward stuff,
Mhm.
not from the internal stuff. So
Exactly,
we are
exactly.
successful from the
It's
outward
true. It's
appearance.
true. But
Yeah,
some of those successful people you're seeing, oh man, living with them is hell. Like it's
yeah,
just like that's the thing, and it's just people find that surprising. Like you would think like the real world would be success means the person is a good person. Sorry to say, but I have to use American as an example. This is
hmm
like the blueprint for the rest of the world, right? Everyone
hmm
assumes America is perfect until you come here and live and be like, wait, hang on,
hmm
Hollywood is a very good marketing engine. It's not like that, So yeah, I mean, it's like you live, you see the real thing under the hood, under the cover, and it
yeah,
makes you think like, wait, so if there's no perfection outside, then I'm going to work on myself. No one is perfect. That's don't even aspire for that.
mm,
Like when I mentor people, I used to teach them, like, look, stop waiting for perfection to move. You're never gonna move because there's no
yeah,
such thing, right? Like for me, just like my own spiritual sense, I just believe only the Almighty's laws are perfect. But when it comes to you as a human being, you are here to be the best version of yourself, and it's in
hmm
being that. It's not in doing it. It's in being it that people around you will grow. Like you
yeah,
become medicine. Your
hmm
presence becomes medicine. So you should just focus on your healing. And
yeah,
it's how I even found the grace to forgive so many things that not only other people, but myself for the
hmm
mistakes I have made, because that's a massive part of your healing wellness journey. Wellness is all round, by the way. I don't
yeah,
think we're gonna have time to talk about wellness as a whole, but
yeah,
healing is something. And I have to give California a big hand because there's a massive drive on not just mental health but wellness as a whole, in terms of healthcare and how healthcare is being delivered nowadays. And they're doing it, they're actually starting early with younger ones, because it's harder to implement it with someone who's grown up into the toxic environment or toxic culture. But it's starting to be implemented now in schools, in healthcare providers and everything. There's a whole holistic thing going on, which I really
hmm
admire.
yeah. I love that, and we probably won't have time to get into the wholeness of wellness as a whole, but there's different pieces
Yes.
as we dive into some of those challenges because I think you know, when COVID happened, the whole world did a reset, right?
Mm,
And I think everybody realized that at some level, wellness needed to be incorporated into their lifestyle.
mm,
They didn't know the how and the what and the when and all that stuff. And so people started to struggle with this concept and notion. I think even, you know, talking to you behind the scenes, you know, we had talked about some of the challenges of managing anxiety, and especially after you went on your vacation and it came to an end, and you were starting to reflect a little bit of what you manifested the what 5 years ago and realized how far you come. And I've been part of that journey. I was like, man, you've come so far. And you know, you started focusing on things like gratitude, mindfulness, which helped you overcome this hurdle. Like when from looking at that, we've had different sessions, whether it be with Village Up, and where we talked about wellness and wellness being such an essential part of entrepreneurship. I've had my own dealings with this, dealing with not just the in entrepreneurship, but in the nonprofit space, in the government space, the community activist space, where wellness is just, you know, overlooked and it's such an important part.
mm.
Can you share, significant challenges or a significant challenge you faced during your wellness journey and how you overcame it? Because I think that's the most important thing that people, when they see you healing and growing, they just like how are you doing this? And I haven't begun my wellness journey, so I can't answer that question for them. So I'm glad that we have you on, so you can answer how you overcame it. What's the
Okay.
significant challenge you faced
So,
during this journey? How you
yeah.
overcame it?
Initially, for me, when I started my wellness journey, my focus was on mental health because that was the evident thing, right? My social
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, depression. I had found a way to be able to manage that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew my triggers, but the social anxiety was something else that I'd been playing upon, and then obviously, with my ADHD, there are lots of things that come into play that I had to keep in control of. So one thing I learned the most was about setting boundaries, right? And to be fair, I learned a lot from you. I learned a lot from my business partner, Dr. London Noble, and it was like something that I saw how she was very strict on setting it, and it didn't matter who it was. It could be friend, family, whatever. It was set, and I saw her do that a lot of times in our meetings. Now, for me, that was hard because being here, I'm trying to like grab, like, lock a partnership or something. So being standoffish was tough for me to appreciate at the time. But when I saw the level of happiness and peace she had, you see, I said, I was very blessed to see what it looked like at the end, right? When someone was going through it and when someone was at the end. I literally watched this person fight themselves, right? And then I now realize that, oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing here. Healing and wellness is intrinsic. It is not
Mm.
external at all. When anything happens to you, or at all, you have to ask yourself, what did I do that put me in this position to let that happen to me, to let someone
Mm.
think they could do that to me? And once you can find that point, you know what needs to change. Usually it's self being accountable and being responsible. And that was important. So I started actually with accountability. I had to hold myself accountable. I was giving away pieces of myself so much that I was burnt out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, yes, even though I can do it, but physically, mentally, I couldn't meet all those obligations. So I had to stop. Like the first thing I did last year, at the beginning of last year, so that was beginning of 2023, was end like my spread on so many projects. That's the first thing I had to do. It was, and the last one I did was the hardest for me, where I literally had to have a discussion with you and say, hey, I need to step back. And because I felt like, oh, I could still carry this on, but no, you can't heal yourself in an environment that made you sick. And that is, I had to look at
Mm.
everything. I had to look at everything. And this is the major problem for so many people going through trauma in any kind of way. You still think you can be in the same place that poisoned you. It's not possible. It's not
Mm-hmm.
possible. So these are the things, that we need to look at. We need to examine. And a lot of times it's really the buck starts with us. Another thing you need to
Mm-hmm.
realize as well is that what I just said now, the environment that makes you sick is not just what they call it, situations that have happened to you as an adult or whatever. It's how you grew up. Is
Mhm.
the in existence of tools to help you manage your emotions, is in existence of situations and safe spaces. You don't even know what that looks like. Is the comfort you feel in the old and the fear of the
Mhm.
new. I mean, I love the new. In fact, I fear the old so much I get bored. So it's like I had to learn, right, to be present. Because the only reason why you go back or forward is because you're trying to avoid that person now. What you're feeling in the now. So being present
Mhm.
is important. And I can tell you this right now, it was the most exhaustive practice I ever did, because for me to be present, especially with ADHD, it is hard.
Mhm.
Like even like man, like I think because you and I bounce off each other really well, I can hold a conversation with you for hours. But man, most people I'm already checked out. I'm already gone, man. Like, and my facial expressions can tell you if I'm present. Literally. If I'm reacting with my face, I'm there. But if I'm one blank face, trust.
Everybody. The reason why I'm laughing so much because me and her have been in meetings, and I'm like, "Shola, fix your face."
Well, the people are saying things that are not
Oh
flowing. Like,
man.
wait, where did that come from? And I'm like, okay, explain yourself. I mean, man, look, I'm too African too.
Yeah, and I think the difference is because you've been an entrepreneur all your
Oh
life, and so
yes,
you navigate differently the
oh
world,
yes,
right? And I've been in corporate for so long that I
yeah. So you
had
have
to
to have a
learn
poker
how to
face.
navigate, as I had to learn how to manage facial expressions and all that stuff, so that it doesn't get me in more trouble. So I want to go back and clean up some of the statements you made because I don't want people to get the
Yeah,
wrong
sorry guys.
thing from it. Because I love when you said you cannot hear yourself in the same environment that
Oh
made you
yeah,
sick,
no, you cannot.
and I don't want people. So well, unless I want you to be honest,
Mm.
you know. Because I may feel that Rise Urban Nation is not a toxic environment, but you may
Oh
have
no,
a
no, no, no,
different
no.
experience with that.
Yeah, no.
So
I think
like,
for me with run for me, I am a visionary. I see the
hmm
end, right? And my goal is to get there as fast as possible because I know myself. My speed
hmm
is not because I'm like naturally like that. It's because
hmm
I get bored easily, right? And when I
hmm
get bored, it's a mountainous effort for me to do the same thing over and over again or to be
hmm
consistent in the same thing. See, I'm consistent in starting new stuff and finishing it quick. If it's a fast project, I'm good. But if something
hmm
that is stretched out and there's nothing new I'm essentially doing, which is why we have a lot of like assets, right?
hmm
Assets that I've literally been the one that engineered most of them. And it's
hmm
because I needed that. And
hmm
where we were going as a group, we needed to be fueled financially. But where I was being pulled to do that, to put that kind of energy into, was high gear. Like
hmm
we were chasing 7 8 figures. It was
hmm
impossible for me to focus, and again, for me to be present and focus is very hard. So I know I'm so grateful that the partners I have in high gear take over when I'm burnt out, right?
Yeah.
So we have that system in place, and we didn't have that system in place in Rise Up a Nation. It wasn't because we didn't want to; it just wasn't set up that way. Number one, each of us that were the key foundation of Rise Up a Nation lived in different parts of the world.
hmm
Two of you guys had full-time jobs that were
hmm
very demanding. One was literally essentially a single parent. There was you also who
hmm
was trying to be a present father, right? And
hmm
husband, and also working in a very, very delicate role. So it was
hmm
like, and for me, I felt like I was the only one that seemingly had the time to do stuff when no one was present. So I found
hmm
myself, taking over the reins of things that I didn't enjoy doing. Now that
Yeah.
burnt me out. And that is not a fault of the organization. It's a fault of me not being able to verbalize that because I didn't want to hurt people's feelings.
hmm
But the thing is, when I sat back down to think that, wait, the kind of relationship we built is safe enough for me, but it took me time even to even have the guts, and I say guts to say it. It's safe enough for me to say this that it wouldn't like that it wouldn't have, hurt your feelings or affect you in some kind of way. It just means you being like the primary head of Rise Up Nation, you need to figure out as a leader how you're going to, move the company forward with someone like me at the position I was in stepping back. And I
Yeah.
knew that you had the capability of doing that. See, if I felt you didn't, I may not have the way I would have stepped back would have been different.
Yeah.
But knowing that, I said, you know what? This guy has the resources and everything possible to do this. I'm not in that position to give my all that's needed for what this organization needs at this time, at this moment, right? Moving to the next level. And I felt that if I keep going the way I would hinder or possibly even damage the group. So it was very
Yeah.
important for me to make sure I made that move. And it was having to remove several things even before I even got to that point. And I just realized that, man, I have to do this because where I need to go, I must do this on my own. I couldn't do this with everything. And then I knew that my 1 month break was coming. And I had a
Yeah.
team that understood this journey I wanted to go on more than anything. So we had crafted high gear on how we would operate essentially without, how do I put it, automatically, without major presence, right? So it was like, okay, I'm going to have this like half a year. I need to get
Yeah.
this done now. This is too important. And I just turned 40, remember? So it was like,
Yeah.
wait, I cannot continue another year in this decade, right? Being this way. I had to change it. And see, another thing about my grace that I was I'm graced enough to have the opportunity. And that's another thing. A lot of people plan for retirement. No, 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 no. I think there are several points in your life you should plan for, right? Some people put marriage, if they're getting married, that's a big one. Buying a house is a big one. Having kids is a big one. You need to plan your wellness. You need to plan your breaks. I'm not talking about the paid vacation time you get. You need to have and find like, okay, I need to do a 1 year break at some point in my life when I turn 40. I need to
Yeah.
plan financially to do that. Something like that. A lot of people, it's not possible, but think about if you're thinking like this at the age of 18, you would have made plans for that. My plan was to retire at 40. But get this, I wasn't really sure what I would do after 40. So when I turned 40, it was a massive hit for me. And I'm like, I was supposed to have been retired by now. Then someone just asked me that, but what would you have been doing? Like, Charlotte, the kind of person you are, there's no way you can retire. And I didn't like that because retirement to me was not chilling either, but was you doing what, but I didn't understand the what I wanted it to look like. And then when I was able to give myself this space to really process and be intentional, I knew what I wanted. I wanted to be in control with the most expensive thing in this world, your time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was something that I said, okay, I need to claim that more than anything so that I'm in control and I can say yes, no. It doesn't matter because I could do that. And that was the most important thing that I looked at as like my retirement gift to
Yeah.
myself.